Hi, I'm Cindy Halpern, and this is my YouTube recording for today, Monday, October 19th, 2015. A couple of miscellaneous things. I read an article just now about success, and they list all the successful people, Bill Gates, the former Steve Jobs, Donald Trump, Mark Cuban, Mark Zuckerberg, and the article sought their advice on how to be successful. You can't follow other people's advice about how to be successful. We're all individuals. We all have our different paths. I've watched Shark Tank many times, and sometimes the sharks don't believe in people, and then sometimes months later, Shark Tank has a postscript where it talks about how people who had been at Shark Tank and were rejected, but their business ended up increasing because they got the publicity and they did well. Kevin O'Leary is one of the sharks, and he always says, "You're dead to me," or he says, "I'm here to make money." But you can't go by that, because who you are is unique. What your product or service is unique, and what you put into it is unique, and we all have a different path to that. For example, Walt Whitman was a writer and a poet, and he found success through his writing. You have other people like Donald Trump, who found success through real estate. Totally two different disciplines that require two different approaches to it. You have someone like Edgar Allan Poe, who is a writer that lived in Rhode Island briefly, and he wrote horror stories. He didn't really obtain success in his lifetime. He became maybe more famous after he passed away. And I'm not advocating that, of course. You'd like success in your time. But what is success? Most people define it as financial, of course. Sometimes people define it as how helpful they are, if they can do mitzvahs or good deeds in the world. Some people just want to make the world a better place, and they define success that way. So it depends what you want from your success. I guess most people would say they want financial success. And financial success is good. You're able to secure your family, and hopefully you have good wishes towards the community, and you better the community with money you've made. And there are people, of course, who give tzedakah. Even if they don't have a lot of money, they give the little bit that they do have to make the world a better place. So my recommendation for success is follow your heart. Find out what it is you want to be successful in, and then go for it. And the worst you can do is fail. Now, I know our society's afraid of failure, but sometimes you learn the better lessons from failure. Sometimes from the worst failures come the best lessons. And then some people go on to be successful, and other people, they frankly don't go on to being successful at all. They never will be successful. Maybe they're successful in what they try to do, and maybe they're a good role model for people, or maybe they're just spiritual and their success is just believing in God. So I wouldn't take the advice of too many people seriously about success. You know in your heart what it is you want to do and what you want to be, and there's some people who don't achieve that right away, or they never achieve it, or they achieve it eventually, or they achieve it through their children or their grandchildren or their friends. It's a very subjective thing what success means, and you just have to go by what you think it means, and you can't evaluate it based on what society thinks is successful. That's how I've tried to live my life, basing it on what I believe is the right thing to do. And I've made mistakes, yes, many mistakes, but I've also done some really good things. And my definition of success has been that I've traveled to Europe and the places I really wanted to visit for the most part. There's still a few left. And I've written about them and I've shared it, and I ended up having a daughter and a grandson. And I honor my mom's memory, and I honor the memory of other family and friends when I can. And no, I don't have $1 million. And even when I was a full-time social worker, director of social services, I never made a great living at that. And I was good in my field. I was in the who's who in Rhode Island, and I was considered top of my field. But I never made a lot of money as a social worker, but I consider myself very successful as one. I helped a lot of people. And that's how I define success. I mean, social workers would tell you anyhow. They can't define success by financial gain, because as a social worker, unless you're in a lucrative practice where you have high society people as your clients, you're not going to make a lot of money in social work. You're lucky if you stay middle class and you can make a living at it. People that I know, and for me, I didn't go into it to make a lot of money. If you want a lot of money, you get the MBA, go to be a doctor. Even nurses do very well. But if you want to be a social worker, you got to have heart, and it's got to be about helping people and not about how much money you're going to make, because you're not going to make it there in social work. It's just not where the money is. But that's the field that I chose, and I'm glad that I did. I also love writing. And I never made a lot of money writing. I was a freelance writer, and I got published in the Providence Journal and the Rhode Island Jewish Herald and American Day and a few other publications. I never made a living as a writer, ever. I made more of a living as a social worker, but I never regretted being a writer either. Of course, now I don't make anything writing. I do most of my writing on Facebook now, on my booklets. But I still love my writing, and I'm learning public speaking, and I'm not going to say I'm great at it yet. I'm getting better at it, and I kind of like it at times. I'm learning a new skill, and so I'm grateful to be able to do that. And to me, these are all things of success. So it's just food for thought, and you have to decide for yourself what you want to do to be successful and how you're going to do it. And you may fail, and you have to get up and try again and try again. And you might eventually be successful, and you may not. But you have to take the chance. That's what it's about. Bye.